I'm Tony Little and I work for Organic Centre Wales. And when I talk to people about organic farming, most people understand that organic farmers don't use fertilisers and use very few pesticides, but there is so much more to it than that. We're here today to talk to Charlie Wood, who's the Organic Centre Wales Dairy Champion, to explain what it really means to be an organic dairy farmer.
This is a dairy farm. I own about 150 acres and I'm renting another 60 acres, predominantly dairy, but I also raise stores. Store cattle is an animal destined for the beef market.
Any mother will tell you that producing milk is extremely demanding on the body. And on very intensive dairy farms, each cow will produce up to 10,000 litres of milk every year. That's extremely stressful on her, and often cows only last 3 years in the commercial herd. Now, organic cows only produce something like between 5,000 and 6,500 litres of milk, and that means much less stress on the body, much longer, healthier lives in the herd.
My cows are under much less stress, so they can rough it a bit. They're tougher and hopefully more resistant to disease. Well, we've got quite a few who've been in 10 years here now, roundabout. When they get very aged, they often go on and do duty as nurse cows. I put 2 or 3 calves on them and they stop actually milking and go and rear calves for me.
So if yield is not at the top of the priority list for an organic farmer, what do they think about when they're choosing which type of cow to run?
That's what I'm trying to go for, an animal that looks after itself and rears me a good calf as well as making some milk. Conventional herd usually, they are well looked after. They have a hoof trimmer in several times a year to keep the hooves in tidy shape. We never have to do that. These cows' feet, they look after themselves.
So on those very intensive farms, if you're going to get that amazing production out of cows, you need a real high octane diet. And that means a lot of high energy cereals like barley and wheat and oats, and ingredients with lots of protein like soya. Now on organic farms, it's all about the grass.
Most of our feed comes from grass. I think organic rules say 60% of your feed must come from forage. Well, we're way above that. We don't feed much concentrates, but we do buy some cow, especially now in the autumn this time of year. The grass is it's very nice, it looks lovely, but there's much more moisture in it. It's much lower dry matter, so they do need some dry food to help keep them in good condition and keep the yields up.
Now to get all that grass, conventional farmers often use high levels of artificial fertiliser. With organic farmers, it's all about maintaining a healthy soil.
There's an old cliche you hear about organic farming, all muck and magic, but actually it's very, very true, because if you look at here we are in this field, take the muck first of all. These cows have been grazing here throughout the summer. And you see the raised patches there. The cow pats have been dropped randomly all throughout the summer, and by the end of the summer, the whole area has been fertilised. It's the most brilliant system. Everything's been recycled. What we use is what I'm going to tell you about, is the magic bit, is this little thing here, the clover. It is the essence of all organic farming. This is what we absolutely depend on. In its roots it has some nodules which can convert the air, the nitrogen in the air, into nitrogen available for the grass.
Now, organic farmers do everything they can to minimise the amount of antibiotics they use. A cow doesn't produce milk all year round. She has a rest for a couple of months, which is called a drying off period. And at that time, she's particularly susceptible to problems like mastitis.
The conventional farmer, when it comes to drying off the cow, will usually treat the whole herd with an antibiotic dry cow treatment. I treat my whole herd with a teat sealant, which just seals the end of the teat to make sure that no nasties go up there and cause mastitis. We hope mainly to control our disease by prevention. Healthy cows, tough cows, and looking after them well.
Organic farmers take a special interest in biodiversity and wildlife, and these are some of the things that Charlie's doing on his farm to help that.
If you come here in the summer, you've seen all the clover. This would have been white with clover, and you wouldn't go far into the field. You'd hear buzzing and look around, and there'd be honeybee there, bumblebee, and this is difference between organic dairy farmer's field and a conventional. Well, as you can see, most of the farms are surrounded by woodland. In fact, you know, it runs for miles all around this farm, and the woods are obviously full of places for birds to nest and habitat for moths. And this lately in the evenings, we're seeing lots and lots of bats flying on these warm autumn evenings when I get the cows in. Bats all around my head. We've also got very, very thick hedgerows. We leave part of it uncut every year so that they'll grow up and produce a good crop of berries for the birds. We've also got some ponds. They're full of dragonflies and frogs, lots of frogs croaking down there, and full of tadpoles, of course.
Milk supply systems are often very centralised, which means trucking large volumes of milk for very long distances. The company that Charlie sells his milk to is a little bit special.
Well, we sell our milk to a co-op called Calon Wen, which is a small co-op, 20 farmers in Wales, all parts of Wales, and it is very much based on family farms. You can buy bottled Calon Wen milk and bottled Calon Wen cheese and butter, which you'll see in the supermarkets.
So organic dairy farmers really do things differently. That means healthier cows, healthier soil, a better environment, and because of all that grass and clover, healthier milk.